The lecture hall was very big. It could hold 500 students from different planets. The seats went up like stairs, and each row had beings of all shapes and sizes. Some had wings, some had many legs. Some were so small they needed special chairs with screens to see the professor. The walls showed stars moving slowly like a window into space. Professor Velith stood at the front. She was tall and thin, with a body like an insect. Her eyes were large and made of many small parts that caught the light. When she moved her head, the light made her eyes shine like diamonds. She was one of the best teachers at the Galactic Academy. Today, she was teaching about animals that no longer exist. "Today we study the lost hunters," she said. Her voice was sharp but kind. "These were the predators, the meat eaters, the ones who shaped how life grew on their planets." She touched a button, and a big picture appeared in the air. It showed a creature with large teeth and yellow eyes. The students from prey species moved back in their seats. Even though it was just a picture, some of them felt afraid. "This is from planet Ketha," said the professor. "It died out 2,000 years ago when its food became too little." She showed more pictures. Big cats with spots, flying hunters with sharp claws, swimming things with rows of teeth. Each one was gone now. Each one was only a memory in the galactic archives. In the back row, a young human named Kim Do-hyun watched quietly. He was 19 years old and came from Earth. He had dark hair and calm eyes. He did not talk much, but he always listened. The other humans sat near him, but he was a little apart from them. "Now we come to Earth," said Professor Velith. A blue planet appeared on the screen. Earth had many predators. Most of them are gone now. She showed pictures of lions, tigers, and bears. Then a new picture came up. It showed an animal with thick gray fur, sharp ears, and golden eyes. It stood in snow, looking at something far away. "This is the wolf," said the professor. "Canis lupus. It was one of Earth's most successful hunters. It lived in groups called packs. Very smart, very dangerous." She paused. "The wolf went extinct about 300 years ago. Humans took their land, killed them for sport, changed their world until the wolves could not survive." Do-hyun felt his pocket vibrate. He took out his communicator and looked at the message. His heart beat faster. He stood up slowly and walked toward the door. Some students looked at him, but most did not care. Students left class early all the time. The professor continued her lecture. She talked about how wolves hunted in groups, how they raised their young, how they talked to each other with howls. She spoke like she was telling a sad story about a friend who had died long ago. 20 minutes passed. The class was almost over when the doors opened again. Do-hyun walked back in, but he was not alone. Beside him walked an animal. It was big, almost reaching Do-hyun's waist. Its fur was white like fresh snow. Its eyes were pale blue, like ice in morning light. It walked without making any sound, its body moving smooth and easy. A wolf. A living, breathing wolf. The lecture hall went silent. 500 beings stopped breathing at the same moment. Professor Velith's mouth opened, but no words came out. Her many eyes blinked one after another. On the screen behind her, the picture of the wolf still glowed. The same animal, the same golden eyes, but the one in the picture was supposed to be dead. The one walking into the room was very much alive. A small alien named Mira screamed. She was from a prey species, and her whole body was made to fear things like this. She fell backward out of her chair and tried to run, but her legs would not work. Toran, a big reptile with green scales and warrior marks on his arms, jumped to his feet. His hand went to the blade he always carried. "What is this?" he shouted. "You bring a beast in here? Are you mad?" Do-hyun stopped walking. He put his hand on the wolf's head gently. The wolf sat down next to him, calm and patient. Its tail moved slowly from side to side. "I am sorry for the scare," Do-yun said. His voice was soft but clear. "This is Bayek. He is my companion. He just arrived from Earth." "Impossible," whispered Professor Veleth. "The archives say, the records show, wolves are extinct." "The archives are wrong," said Do-yun simply. Those 4 words hit the room like a bomb. In all of galactic history, no one said the archives were wrong. The archives held the truth about everything. They were never wrong. They could not be wrong. Park Sora, another human student, stood up from her seat. She was the daughter of a diplomat and knew how to handle trouble. "Everyone, please stay calm," she said loudly. "The wolf is not attacking anyone. Look at it." Some students looked. Beck sat perfectly still. His tongue hung out a little like he was smiling. His eyes moved around the room with interest, but no hunger. He looked at Mira, who was still on the floor crying, and his ears went down flat. He looked sad that he had scared her. "I demand an explanation," said Professor Veleth. Her voice shook a little. "How can this be?" Before Do-hyun could answer, the doors burst open again. Security officers ran in with weapons ready. They were big aliens with armor and serious faces. They pointed their guns at Bayek. "Step away from the animal," one of them ordered. Do-hyun did not move. "He is not dangerous. He will not hurt anyone." "It is a predator," the officer said. "It must be contained." "He stays with me." Do-hyun's voice was still soft, but now there was iron in it. "We do not separate." The tension in the room grew thick. Guns stayed pointed. Students held their breath. Toran's hand stayed on his blade. Mira cried quietly on the floor. Then Bayek did something strange. He felt his humans' fear and worry. So he lay down. He put his big head on Do-yun's foot. He closed his eyes. His tail thumped once on the floor. It was the most peaceful thing anyone had ever seen a predator do. Even Toran lowered his hand from his weapon. Even the security officers looked at each other with confusion. "The human will come with us to the administrator," said the lead officer finally. "The wolf can come too, for now. But one wrong move and we shoot." Do-yun nodded. He clicked his tongue softly, and Beck stood up at once. Together they walked toward the door. Every eye in the room followed them. As they passed Professor Veleth, Do-yun stopped. "Where I come from," he said quietly, "wolves never disappeared. They just learned to live with us, and we learned to live with them." Then he walked out, his wolf at his side, leaving 500 shocked aliens behind him. On the screen, the picture of the extinct wolf still glowed. But now everyone knew the truth was much more complicated than any archive could hold. The administrator's office was round like a circle. The walls were white and clean. Big windows showed the stars outside. The room was made so that aliens of all sizes could fit inside. There were seats for small beings and spaces for large ones. Everything looked important and serious. Do-hyun stood in the middle of the room. Beck sat next to him, quiet and watchful. Around them stood the security officers, still holding their weapons but not pointing them anymore. The administrator, a tall being with silver skin and 4 arms, watched from behind a floating desk. A light appeared in the air, and a face formed from nothing. It was High Archivist Keth. He was not really there. He was speaking through a hologram from far away. His body was long and thin like a snake standing up. His face had no expression, but his eyes were cold. "This is very serious," said Keth. His voice sounded like metal rubbing on metal. "The Galactic Archives say wolves are extinct. They have been extinct for 300 years. This is fact. This is truth." "Then how do you explain him?" Do-yun asked. He pointed at Bayek. The wolf's tail moved a little at the attention. Keth's hologram flickered. "There are several possibilities. This could be a clone made in a laboratory. It could be a different animal that looks like a wolf. It could be a trick. The archives are never wrong. He is not a clone, said Do-hyun calmly. He is not a trick. He is a wolf. His name is Baek. His mother was named Nuri. His grandmother was named Hyan. My family has known his family for 15 generations. The room went quiet. 15 generations was a very long time. It meant hundreds of years of history. Professor Veleth entered the room. She had followed them from the lecture hall. Her many eyes looked at Baek with wonder and confusion. I would like to do tests, she said. Genetic tests. We can look at his blood and see exactly what he is. The science will not lie. Keth made a sound like agreement. Yes. Test the creature. Prove that it is not what the human claims. Do-hyun looked at Baek. The wolf looked back at him with trusting eyes. I agree to the tests, Do-hyun said, but I stay with him. Always. We do not separate. The administrator nodded with one of her heads. This is acceptable. Professor Veleth, you will do the tests. Security will watch. We will have answers by tomorrow. They moved to the science building. It was a place full of machines and lights and screens showing information. Aliens in white coats walked around doing important work. When Do-hyun and Baek entered, everyone stopped and stared. Professor Veleth prepared her equipment. She had needles and tubes and scanners. She moved carefully, trying not to show her excitement. In all her years of teaching, she had never seen a living specimen of an extinct species. I need to take some blood, she said to Do-hyun. Will the wolf allow this? Do-hyun knelt down next to Baek. He spoke in Korean, soft words that no one else understood. Baek's ears moved forward, listening. Then the wolf lay down on his side and held out his front leg. He understands? Veleth asked in amazement. We have been together since he was born, said Do-hyun. He knows my voice. He trusts me, and I trust him. Veleth took the blood sample. Baek did not move or make any sound of pain. He just watched Do-hyun's face the whole time. When it was done, Do-hyun gave him a small treat from his pocket. Baek ate it happily, his tail wagging. Toran had followed them to the science building. He stood in the corner, watching everything. He had spent his whole life learning to fight predators. His people believed that all hunters were enemies. But this wolf was different. It obeyed. It was gentle. It loved the human boy. How did you make it obey? Toran asked suddenly. What control do you have over it? Do-hyun looked up at the big reptile. I did not make him do anything. I do not control him. He chooses to be with me, and I choose to be with him. That is how it works. Impossible, said Toran. Predators do not choose. They hunt. They kill. That is their nature. Then maybe you do not understand predators as well as you think, said Do-hyun quietly. The machines worked through the night. They looked at Baek's blood from every angle. They compared it to old samples in the database. They ran test after test. Do-hyun slept on a small bed in the corner of the lab. Baek slept next to him, curled up with his nose under his tail. Even in sleep, the wolf's ears moved when there were sounds. He was always protecting. In the morning, the results came. Professor Veleth read them 3 times to be sure. Her hands shook a little as she held the report. It is true, she said. Her voice was soft with wonder. The genetic code matches perfectly. This is Canis lupus, a pure wolf, not a clone, not a mix with another animal, a real, living wolf. Keth's hologram appeared again. His cold eyes looked at the data on the screens. The human database must be wrong. Someone changed the records. No, said Veleth firmly. We compared the sample to genetic data collected by early galactic observers, samples taken before humans even knew aliens existed. The match is perfect. The wolf is real. The archives are wrong. For a long moment, no one spoke. The idea that the archives could be wrong was almost impossible to accept. The archives were the foundation of galactic knowledge. If they were wrong about wolves, what else might they be wrong about? Park Sora arrived at the lab. She had spent the night researching and making calls to Earth. "I have more information," she said. "My father contacted the Korean Wildlife Protection Agency. They confirmed everything." She showed them documents on her tablet, pictures of wolves in snowy mountains, records of breeding programs, stories of families like Do-Yun's who had lived with wolves for centuries. Earth never reported the true number of wolves to the Galactic Survey, Sora explained. They were afraid. They thought aliens might want to take the wolves for study or hunting, so they lied. They said the wolves were gone. Keth's hologram flickered with what might have been anger. "This is unacceptable. The archives must be correct. I will file a formal complaint. This creature must be taken to a proper facility for study." "What kind of study?" Do-Hyun asked. His voice was still calm, but his hand moved to rest on Baek's head. "Complete study," said Keth. "We must understand how this species survived. We must examine every part of it." Everyone understood what that meant. They wanted to cut Baek open. They wanted to take him apart to see how he worked. "No," said Do-Hyun. The single word was hard and final. The administrator spoke through a communicator. "A compromise. The wolf stays with the human, but they will attend observation sessions. We will study the relationship, not destroy the animal." Keth did not look happy, but he agreed for now. "This is not over," he said before his hologram disappeared. As the others left the lab, Sora stayed behind. She looked at Do-Hyun with worried eyes. "Be careful," she said. "Keth has spent his whole life building the archives. He will not let you prove them wrong. Not without a fight." Do-Hyun nodded. He looked down at Baek, who was watching him with calm, trusting eyes. "Then we will be ready," he said softly. Baek's tail wagged once, as if he understood every word. 3 weeks passed on the space station. News about Do-Hyun and Baek spread quickly. Everyone wanted to see the wolf that should not exist. The observation sessions became the most popular events on the station. Aliens came from different parts of the academy just to watch. Professor Velith ran the sessions. She set up a special room with comfortable seating and good lighting. Cameras recorded everything. She took notes on every small thing Do-Hyun and Baek did together. "Today I will show you how wolves and humans communicate," Do-Hyun said to the crowd of watchers. There were maybe 50 aliens in the room, all different shapes and colors. Some floated in the air, some sat on special chairs, some hung from the ceiling. Do-Hyun looked at Baek and made a small sound with his mouth. Baek sat down at once. Another sound, and Baek lay down. A third sound, and Baek rolled onto his back, showing his belly. "You see, it is not just words," Do-Hyun explained. "Baek watches my body too, my face, my hands. He knows what I am feeling before I say anything." To show this, Do-Hyun changed his posture. He stood tall and straight with his shoulders back. Baek immediately became alert, his ears up and his body ready to move. Then Do-Hyun relaxed, letting his shoulders drop. Baek relaxed too, his tongue hanging out happily. "This did not happen in one day," said Do-Hyun. "It took thousands of years. My ancestors and Baek's ancestors learned together. They hunted together. They protected each other. They became family." A small voice came from the back of the room. Does he ever want to hurt you?" It was Mira. The little alien had come to every observation session, but she always stayed far away. She watched from behind bigger aliens, her small body shaking with old fear. Do-Hyun smiled gently. "No, he has never wanted to hurt me, and he never will. We are pack. In wolf thinking, you do not hurt your pack." "But he is a predator," Mira said. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Predators hunt. Predators kill." "Yes," agreed Do-Hyun. "Wolves hunt to live. They kill to eat. But they also love. They play. They take care of their young. They mourn when one of them dies. Predators are not just killing machines. They have hearts, too. The room was very quiet. Many of the aliens had never thought about predators this way. "Would you like to meet him?" Do-Yun asked Mira. Mira's whole body shook harder, but something in her eyes changed. A tiny spark of courage appeared. I am too scared." "That is okay," said Do-Yun. "Fear is natural, but fear can change. Come down here. Just stand near me. Beck will not move unless I tell him." Slowly, very slowly, Mira made her way to the front. Her legs felt like water. Her heart beat so fast she could hear it in her ears. Every step felt like walking toward death. Beck watched her come. His eyes were soft and curious. His tail stayed still. He did not show any teeth. He just watched. When Mira was close enough, Do-Yun knelt down beside Beck. "Hold out your hand," he said to Mira. "Let him smell you. That is how wolves say hello." Mira's small paw trembled as she held it out. She closed her eyes, too afraid to watch. Beck leaned forward. His cold nose touched Mira's paw. He sniffed once, twice, 3 times. Then he did something that made everyone in the room gasp. He licked her paw, gently, like a mother cleaning a baby. Mira's eyes opened. She stared at the wolf, this creature her whole species had feared for millions of years. And the wolf looked back at her with kind eyes. Tears came down Mira's face, not tears of fear, tears of something else, something new. "He likes you," said Do-Hyun with a smile. "Wolves are good judges of character. He knows you have a good heart." After the session, Toran waited outside. He had been watching from a window, too proud to sit with the others. When Do-Hyun came out with Beck, Toran stepped in front of them. "I need to understand," said the big reptile. His voice was rough but not angry. "My people have fought predators for all of our history. We believe they are the enemy. Kill or be killed, that is our way." Do-Hyun looked up at him without fear. "And what has that way given you?" Toran paused. "Survival, strength, honor, but also loneliness," said Do-Hyun quietly. "Your people have no animal companions, do they? No creatures that love you without condition? No one to share your fire on cold nights?" The words hit Toran hard. He had never thought about it that way. His species was strong but alone. They had conquered predators but lost something in the process. "How did you do it?" Toran asked. "How did humans become friends with wolves?" Do-Hyun thought for a moment. "My grandmother told me a story. Long ago, when humans were weak and small, they met wolves. Both were hungry, both were cold. They could have fought and both would have died, but instead they shared. One human gave meat to a wolf. One wolf protected a human child. It was not control, it was trust." Bake walked over to Toran. The big reptile tensed, his hand moving toward his blade. But Bayek just sat down in front of him and looked up. His tail wagged slowly. "He is not afraid of you," said Do-Hyun. "Even though you are bigger and stronger, he sees you as interesting, not dangerous." For the first time in his life, Toran did not know what to do. A predator was sitting at his feet like a friend. His whole understanding of the universe was shaking. The next morning, Do-Hyun received a message. It was official, stamped with the seal of the Galactic Council. High Archivist Keth had filed a complaint. He wanted Bayek removed from the station and taken to a special research facility. He said the wolf was too dangerous to stay. He said it needed to be studied properly. Everyone knew what proper study meant. There would be a hearing in 3 days. The council would decide Bayek's fate. Sora found Do-Hyun in his room. He was sitting on the floor with Bayek, running his fingers through the wolf's white fur. "We will fight this," she said firmly. "I will help you gather evidence. We will show them the truth." Professor Veleth arrived next. "My research is at your service. I will testify that Bayek is gentle and safe." Then came a knock at the door. It was Toran. He stood awkwardly in the doorway, his massive body filling the space. "I will speak for you," he said. His voice was gruff but sincere. "I have seen things I cannot explain. A warrior should tell the truth about what he sees." Last came Mira. Her small body squeezed past Toran. She was still shaking, but now it was not from fear. "The wolf changed me," she said simply. "I want to help." Do-hyun looked at them all. A human diplomat's daughter, an insect professor, a reptile warrior, a tiny prey creature, all standing together, all willing to fight for a wolf they had only just met. He put his hand on Baek's head. The wolf looked up at him with complete trust. "Thank you," Do-hyun said softly. "All of you." Baek's tail wagged. He did not understand the words, but he understood the feeling. He was not alone. They were pack. The Galactic Council chamber was the biggest room Do-hyun had ever seen. It stretched so far that the walls disappeared into darkness. Hundreds of floating platforms held representatives from planets across the galaxy. Some glowed with light, some floated in water bubbles, some were just shadows that moved. In the center of this massive space, Do-hyun stood alone with Baek. The wolf pressed close to his leg, feeling the nervousness of his human. His white fur seemed very bright in the spotlight that shone down on them. High Archivist Keth appeared on a platform above them. His snake-like body was wrapped in official robes covered with symbols. His face was calm, but his eyes were hard. "We are here today," Keth began, his voice filling the chamber, "to discuss a threat to galactic order. The human has brought a dangerous predator onto a station filled with thousands of beings. The predator belongs to a species the archives declared extinct. This creates a crisis of truth." Whispers ran through the chamber. The word crisis was serious. "If the archives are wrong about wolves," Keth continued, "what else are they wrong about? How many other species were declared extinct but still exist? How many records are lies? The foundation of galactic knowledge is at risk. We must investigate this creature properly. Take it apart. Understand how it survived." Do-hyun stepped forward. His voice was steady, even though his heart raced. "May I speak?" One of the council leaders, an ancient being that looked like a tree made of light, nodded slowly. "Speak, human." "The archives are not wrong because they are bad," said Do-hyun. "They are wrong because my people lied. 300 years ago, when aliens first came to Earth, we were afraid. We did not know if you wanted to help us or use us. We hid things. We said wolves were gone because we wanted to protect them." "So you admit your species deceived the galaxy?" Keth asked sharply. "Yes," said Do-hyun simply. "We lied, but we lied out of love. Would you not protect something precious if you thought it was in danger?" Professor Veleth floated forward on her platform. "I have studied this wolf for weeks. His genetic code matches ancient samples perfectly. More importantly, I have watched him with the human. There is no aggression, no danger, only partnership." She showed her data on huge screens that appeared in the air. Charts showing Baek's calm heartbeat, videos of him playing gently with Do-hyun. Numbers proving he was healthy and normal. "Science tells us this wolf is not a threat," Veleth concluded. "He is a marvel, a living piece of Earth's history." Park Sora stood on another platform. "I have documents from Earth's government. They show that wolves have been protected in secret for centuries, not because humans wanted to trick the galaxy, but because humans learned something important long ago." She paused and looked at all the watching faces. "We learned that partnership is stronger than domination. Working with other species, not against them, made us better." Toran rose from his seat. His big body drew attention from everyone. Warriors from his species rarely spoke at council meetings. "I have been trained since birth to kill predators," he said. His voice was deep and rough. "I believed they were all enemies. mindless killers. But I was wrong. He looked down at Beck. The wolf looked back at him without fear. I have watched this wolf every day, Torin continued. He protects the human. He comforts him when he is sad. He plays with him when he is happy. This is not a beast. This is family. My people have forgotten what that means. We have become strong but cold. The human and his wolf have shown me another way. Finally, small Mira came forward. She was shaking so hard her platform wobbled, but she did not run away. My species has been afraid of predators since before we could speak, she said. Her voice was tiny but clear. When I first saw the wolf, I wanted to die from fear. But the human showed me something. He showed me that fear comes from not knowing. When I let the wolf smell my hand, when he licked me gently, my fear began to break. Tears rolled down her fuzzy face. The wolf did not hurt me. He accepted me. I have learned more about courage from this one animal than from all my years of education. Keth looked frustrated. His careful case was falling apart. These are just feelings, he said coldly. The archives deal with facts. The fact is that this creature is dangerous by nature. We cannot risk the safety of the station based on emotions. Then test him, said Do-Hyun. Put him in whatever situation you want. Let him prove himself. Before Keth could answer, something happened. The station shook. A deep rumble ran through the walls. Warning lights flashed red. A voice announced emergency in 12 languages. Life support failure, someone shouted. Section 7 is losing oxygen. Chaos filled the chamber. Platforms crashed into each other. Aliens screamed and tried to fly away. In the corner, a group of young students who had come to watch the hearing were trapped. A support beam had cracked and was falling toward them. Everything happened in seconds. Beck moved before anyone else. He was a white flash across the room. He hit the group of students from the side, pushing them away from the falling beam. Metal crashed down. Dust flew everywhere. When the dust cleared, everyone saw Beck lying on the ground. The beam had hit his back legs. He was hurt. Blood stained his white fur red. But under him, protected by his body, was a small alien child, Mira's younger sister. She was crying but not hurt. The wolf had saved her. This predator, this dangerous beast, had risked his life to protect a child from a species he did not even know. Do-Hyun ran to Bayek. He fell to his knees beside his friend. Beck! Beck! His voice cracked. The wolf lifted his head weakly. He looked at Do-Hyun with pain in his eyes, but his tail moved. Just a little, just enough to say he was okay. Medical teams rushed in. They started treating the injured. Engineers fixed the broken systems. Slowly, order returned. In the middle of everything, High Archivist Keth stood frozen. He stared at the wolf and the child, at the blood and the gentle tail wag, at a predator who had chosen to save instead of kill. The tree being who led the council spoke slowly. The hearing is finished. We do not need more evidence. Keth looked up sharply. But the archives... The archives can be corrected, said the ancient leader. What cannot be corrected is a dead child. This wolf saved a life today. Not because of training, not because of control, because it was the right thing to do. The chamber was silent. Even the emergency alarms had stopped. The wolf stays with the human, declared the council leader, and the galactic archives will be updated. Wolves are not extinct. They live on Earth, protected by those who love them. This is no longer a question. Mira ran to her sister and held her tight. Both of them cried. Then Mira looked at Bayek, still lying on the ground with medics working on his legs. Thank you, she whispered to the wolf. Thank you. Bayek's tail wagged again, weakly, but enough. 1 month had passed since the hearing. The station had returned to normal life. Broken things were fixed. Scared people had calmed down. But nothing was really the same as before. Beck walked through the corridors with a small limp. The doctors had done their best, but his back leg would never be as strong as before. He did not seem to mind. He walked beside Do-hyun as he always did, his white fur clean and bright, his eyes watching everything with gentle curiosity. Students stopped to wave at them. Teachers smiled when they passed. Even aliens who had been afraid of predators their whole lives now bent down to let Baek smell their hands. The wolf who should not exist had become the most loved creature on the station. "The council made their announcement this morning," said Park Sora. She walked with Do-hyun and Baek through the garden area, where plants from 100 worlds grew under artificial sunlight. "Wolves are officially removed from the extinct list. They are now classified as protected under human care." Do-hyun nodded slowly. It felt strange to hear it said out loud. For so long, his people had kept the wolves secret. Now the whole galaxy knew. "They are also starting a review," Sora continued, "looking at other species marked as extinct. They want to make sure the archives are correct this time." "That is good," said Do-hyun. "Truth should matter more than pride." A message arrived on his communicator. He looked at it and smiled a little sadly. "Keth has resigned," he said. "He sent me a personal message." Sora looked surprised. "What does it say?" Do-hyun read it aloud. "I have spent my life believing I knew everything. The archives were my life's work. When you showed me I was wrong, I was angry. I wanted to destroy what I did not understand. But watching your wolf save that child taught me something. Knowledge means nothing without wisdom." "I am sorry. Are you going to reply?" Sora asked. Do-hyun thought for a moment. Then he typed a simple response. "Understanding takes time. Forgiveness takes courage. You have taken the first step. That is enough." Baek nuzzled his hand. The wolf could always tell when Do-hyun was thinking deep thoughts. In the Academy's main hall, Professor Velith was giving a special lecture. The room was packed with more students than ever before. They sat on floors and floated in the air and crowded around windows just to listen. "My paper has been published," she announced proudly. Her insect eyes shone with happiness. "It is called Partnership Beyond Species, What Humans and Wolves Teach Us About Living Together." Already, 300 million beings have read it. She showed images of Do-hyun and Baek, the wolf playing in the garden, the human feeding him treats, both of them sleeping side by side. "For too long, we have seen predators only as threats," Velith said. "We forgot that they are also creatures with hearts. They love, they grieve, they protect. The wolf called Baek did not save that child because someone told him to. He saved her because he is good. We must learn to see that goodness in all beings." Toran waited outside the lecture hall. When Do-hyun arrived, the big reptile stood straight and tall. "I have a request," Toran said. His voice was serious but not hard anymore. "When the break comes, I want to visit Earth. I want to see your home, the mountains where wolves still run free. I want to understand." Do-hyun looked up at the warrior who had once wanted to kill Baek. Now that same warrior wanted to learn. "You are welcome," said Do-hyun. "My grandmother will want to meet you. She loves telling stories to anyone who will listen." Toran almost smiled. For his species, that was very rare. Mira had started something new. She called it the Understanding Program. It was a group where aliens from prey species could meet and talk about their fears. They learned about predators. They studied how different species could live together. Sometimes, Baek came to visit. "Before I was so scared I could not think," Mira told her group. "I saw all predators as monsters, but fear made me blind. When I let myself see the truth, I found a friend." Her younger sister sat next to her. The child who Baek had saved never wanted to leave his side. She had made him a small toy from colored paper. Baek carried it everywhere in his mouth. One evening, Do-hyun sat alone on the observation deck. The deck was a quiet place with big windows that looked out at the stars. Millions of tiny lights filled the darkness. Each one was a sun. Each sun might have planets. Each planet might have life. Beck lay beside him, his head resting on Do-hyun's lap. The wolf's breathing was slow and peaceful. His white fur glowed softly in the starlight. Sora found them there. She sat down quietly, not wanting to disturb the moment. "What are you thinking about?" she asked softly. Do-hyun did not answer right away. He watched the stars for a long time. "My grandmother told me a story once," he finally said, "about the first wolf and the first human. They met on a cold night long ago. Both were alone. Both were hungry. Both were scared." Sora listened without speaking. "They could have fought," Do-hyun continued. "One of them could have killed the other. But instead, the human started a fire. The wolf came closer to feel the warmth. The human shared some food. The wolf stayed to protect the camp at night." He looked down at Beck, who was watching him with calm, trusting eyes. From that one small choice, everything changed. The wolf was no longer alone. The human was no longer weak. They became something new together. Something better than either could be alone. Do-hyun looked back at the stars. "I think that is what the galaxy needs," he said quietly. "Not more archives. Not more rules about who is dangerous and who is safe. The galaxy needs more fires to share, more chances for strangers to become family." Beck's tail thumped against the floor. He did not understand the words, but he understood the feeling. Sora smiled. "That is a beautiful thought." "It is not just a thought," said Do-hyun. "It is what we did. All of us. You, Velith, Torin, Mira. We were strangers. We had reasons to fear each other, but we chose to understand instead." Outside the window, a shuttle departed from the station. It was heading toward Earth, carrying Toran on his journey to learn. Do-hyun watched it go. A warrior from a world of fighters, traveling to see wolves run free in mountain snow, going to sit by fires and listen to old stories, going to understand. Change was slow. It always was. Fear did not disappear in a day. Old beliefs did not break easily. There would still be aliens who saw predators as monsters. There would still be those who trusted archives more than truth. But change had begun because of one human who refused to leave his wolf behind. Because of one wolf who proved that predators could love. Because of one moment when strangers became pack. Do-hyun ran his hand through Beck's soft fur. The wolf closed his eyes in happiness. "Ready to go home someday?" Do-hyun asked softly. Beck's tail wagged. Home was not a place. Home was wherever they were together. The stars continued to shine, millions of lights in the endless dark, each one full of possibility, each one waiting for someone brave enough to share a fire, a human, a wolf, and a universe of chances still to come.